Hello everyone, I'm trying to do a direct rendezvous with a Kerbal in orbit that needs to be rescued. It's different from first getting into orbit and then figuring out how to rendezvous with something in low Kerbal orbit. Now I'm using hard difficulty settings and I have extra ground stations disabled. The ground stations are not a problem because I have a relay network in orbit, which will be able to communicate with my probe core from anywhere in low Kerbal orbit around the equator. Now I'm trying to use a slightly steep ascent, because if you go too fast low in the atmosphere you will generate a plasma sheath and it will disrupt your communications. Now it's not too horrible if my communications get disrupted. Really, it's not. Because the autopilot and the SAS will keep me on track long enough while I ascend out of the plasma sheath. But here we go, we're already starting to generate compressed hot air. And I think we're about to lose communications. Or not at all. Okay, very good. And now, the simple fun rule I use to rendezvous is to have the retrograde marker on the anti-target marker, using the relative velocity of the target. And also the map mode helps. For the most part, I use this marker. This time I'm using this map, but everything will work out fine still. So now I use the formula of I just divide the time, like t minus 1 minute 55 seconds, divided by how long I need to burn. And I need to burn about I need 80 seconds to nullify our relative velocity. So I can start burning when we're 40 seconds away from our rendezvous. Approximately. Because we have an acceleration of about 10 meters per second squared. And we have to nullify 800 meters, so that's about 40 seconds. Or 80 seconds, and we need to start burning 40 seconds ahead. A little bit more, because we don't have exactly this, and it is a little bit more than 800. And now I just stay in this window and just hope for the best. Skip time a little. Now, as we get closer, I will now we can use this map mode, the advanced map mode, to ensure that we're coming close. What I want to say is, if we're burning fully and the time to intercept is increasing, then we're throttling too much. and we could afford to wait. Now this time we can wait again because we overestimated how far ahead of time we should start to burn. And what I'm trying to do is slightly spiral inward towards the target. Oh, well, we cannot spiral anymore. And spend a little bit extra time in orbit. But as long as we are pushing around our retrograde speed marker, we're not losing almost any delta V from our budget. Now I could put my retrograde, oh my gosh, I am still bumping into it. But as you see, it is quite possible to do a direct rendezvous with your target very easily. I'm aligning my crew hatch directly with this thing, with the Kerbal in it, marking it as debris before I abandon it. Letting go, activating RCS, aligning the Kerbal toward, oh no, never mind, toward this thing, the rescue pod. And then it's a very simple process of deorbiting. I think this is about the fastest way to deorbit by burning like 30 degrees down against our orbit. Now the tornado chute is already enabled. In a minute I think we should lose communications for a bit because of the plasma sheath. The parachute will automatically... hey, what's this? Anyway. Oh, we can also use CurveNet to check exactly how high we are landing. We're about 1 kilometer. Now, if we were landing at sea level, we could have set the parachute to like 650 and land safely. But at 1 kilometer, we need to be a bit more how do you say it? Just you have to be more safe and deploy at a higher ground altitude. Anyway, we have recovered our Kerbal. I don't know where on Kerbin, but I think it was still within one orbit. It should be quite easy, once you practice it, of course. Okay, let's try to get another Kerbal. Bowman, no. Another low Kerbin orbit. Like first stage, 6 tons of fuel, swivel engine. That's all we need to know about that. And 1 ton of fuel in the second stage and the spark engine. I'm trying to ensure that I still have a steep ascent. Now I'm trying to pretend that I have not upgraded my tracking center and that I have to kind of eyeball my rendezvous, which I have done several times before upgrading my tracking center. No. Although, I guess we launched a little bit too early. Let me check in the settings. Plasma blackout still enabled, so it is possible to experience it. Oh, there we go. Plasma sheath. We have no communications, even though we have a relay network with which we will reconnect shortly. Now, when we get within 100 kilometers of our target, we should be able to communicate again. We have left the plasma sheath, obviously. We don't have to fire yet, I don't think. I want to find the Kerbal to be rescued in my... oh, here it is. Like 100 kilometers, there we go. Now we just need to keep the retrograde marker on the Kerbal. Pushing it basically onto the target. Now, there are several ways to calculate how much distance you need before you start burning, but I just know from experience that this is about the right distance with this vessel. Now one way to calculate it is to take the square of your relative velocity and divide it by twice your acceleration, which is approximately, let's see, 300, 4.5 kilometers. I guess I can almost not believe it, so... but, well, we're still gonna try 4.5-ish. Now we're 100. Okay, like 500 meters we can burn again. Oh, we're already close. Now it's just a matter of trying to spiral inward without bumping into our target. I'm also trying to push the anti-target marker right onto the equatorial region of rendezvous, just because I like it better that way. This way we're aligned along the equator. It's just prettier. It's better. I'm just trying, just for bragging rights, trying to get as close as possible. There we go. Well, not as close as possible, still close. There we go. We're about to bump into it. Almost exactly bump into it. Let's see, no, I think. No, other way. Get the Kerbal out the orbit, and we have another Kerbal. EV. Hope the Kerbal stabilizes itself. In the current early release of 1.2, they're a little bit unstable when going EVA. Let's see where we are. Kerbals here. So we're not even a quarter of the orbit along the way, and we already have rescued our Kerbal. We're only having to descend and land somewhere. Now this time I'm gonna try to use KerbalNet to figure out exactly what setting I can set my parachute to, in order to spend as little time as possible on the return. I have to try this out sometime. There the communications go in a minute, I think. Okay, not the case. Anyway, we are at sea level, so we can do this. 700 meters, I think, is very safe. Almost guaranteed to work with 1 ton or less of payload to hold on to with the parachute. There we go. Could have even done 550 maybe, or 600, but... And where are we? We're 10 degrees east of the reference point. Let's see. Yep, 1/4 of the way. Another Kerbal rescued in a quarter of an orbit. Now, not enough to get just 2 Kerbals, we have to get 3 Kerbals. So that's what we're going to do. Because the day is not complete until you do something 3 times correctly. Now I've already proved that I can do it without this, but it is easier this way. Yep. Same story. A little bit of time acceleration, but not 4 times, because 4 times tends to destroy my ship. Now it tends to become aerodynamically unstable toward the end of the burn. I mean, it has become aerodynamically unstable in the past. As in flipping over and burning up and bad things like that. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, where's you? Targets, okay, have to burn like this. Crazy. I know. And we're going to overshoot. Quite a bit. Because I ascended way too steep. Look, there is he buzzing past, within 1.4 kilometers. But I think we can still kind of do an almost direct rendezvous. Maybe. How much fuel do we have? Yeah, we can do this. We overshot by 14 kilometers. It's not too horrible. I wonder exactly how far we are going to land from KSC. Always spiraling inward. I'm not approaching directly. I think that the SpaceX does the same thing when they dock with the ISS, because the exhaust fumes from propulsion tend to mess with the International Space Station. But the fumes don't get into the direction of the space station if you spiral inward. Or you don't use a lot, like when you approach at a couple of centimeters a second. Still trying to go for my equatorial rendezvous. Yeah, well, I don't care enough to get it absolutely perfect. But other way around. Now I'm using my communitron to align myself perfectly. Rename it debris. Now you can rename it from the tracking station. It is just quicker to do it right away when you do the rescue. It is debris. We're not going to do anything with it. On the orbits, a little bit slower than the last time. Or actually a lot slower because I burned the wrong way. It burns up instead of down. We're still going to deorbit, but just a little bit further away from where we started. Yeah, halfway around the globe. And we disable SES because the capsule is aerodynamically stable. And we use CurveNet again to check for our terrain altitude. So last time we tried 600 on sea level. I think we're probably going to land at sea. But if we land on land below 1 kilometer, I'm going to use 650. Otherwise 600 for sea level. Now CurveNet goes offline because we're in a plasma sheath, which will shortly dissipate because we're slowing down. There we go. Back. And we're at sea level landing, so we can keep the parachute as is. Not just slowdown for the deployment. We're getting close. Phew. Could have done 550. Rescue in 23 minutes. This time. Okay, thank you for watching and see you later. Oh yeah, no, let's show all the crocodiles first. So I rescued all of them from orbit. Like, almost all of them, not these two. Obviously. And I lost a few in experimentation. Okay, thank you for watching.